The concrete mixer screamed, and nobody looked up. Nobody except Kong Juno. He saw the black car stop at the gate before the driver cut the engine. Black cars that stopped slowly always meant something. He pulled off his work gloves and watched. The rear door opened, and a little girl stepped out, no older than 5. She took 3 steps toward the entrance, and her knees buckled. Juno was already moving. He cleared 30 meters of gravel before anyone else reacted. He caught her before her head hit the ground. Her skin was cold. Her breathing was shallow and fast, the kind that didn't sound like breathing at all. He pressed 2 fingers to her neck and looked up. "Call an ambulance." Now. The driver stood frozen by the car. 2 workers stared. Nobody moved. "I said call an ambulance." He didn't wait. He scooped her up and ran toward the site office, shouting at the foreman to open the first aid room. The girl's eyes opened. She looked up at him, not with fear, the way children usually looked at strangers, but with something quieter. "Are you going to stay?" she whispered. He looked down at her small face. "I'm not going anywhere." He didn't know her name. He didn't know who her mother was. He didn't know that catching this child would unravel every lie that had kept his real life buried, and that the woman about to walk through that gate would either destroy him or choose him. Oh Seoyeon arrived 12 minutes after the ambulance. She didn't run. Women like her didn't run. She walked through the site in heels that had no business on gravel, her face composed the way of someone who had learned long ago that panic was a luxury she couldn't afford. She went straight to her daughter. "Era." She touched the girl's face. Her voice didn't shake. "The man carried me, Mommy," Era said. He stayed. Seoyeon looked up. Juno was standing by the door, his work clothes still dusty, watching without a word. Most men in his position would have introduced themselves, would have angled for gratitude. He just stood there. "You're the one who caught her," she said. "Yes." "What's your name?" "Kong Juno. Laborer." "Site C." She studied him for a long moment. Something moved behind her eyes that she shut down quickly. She turned to the site manager. "I want him on my personal staff starting Monday." The manager blinked. "Madam O, he's a construction worker. I'm aware of what he is." She picked up Era's hand. "Monday." Juno said nothing on the ride back. He had nothing to say. He knew what the Siha group was. He had known for 6 years. He had chosen this site on purpose, taken this job on purpose, stayed invisible on purpose. The plan had always been to watch from a distance. He hadn't planned on the child. Oh Taehwan did not shake his hand. He looked at Juno the way men like him looked at furniture placed in the wrong room, with mild irritation and the quiet certainty that someone would move it eventually. "My daughter has a habit of collecting strays," he said. "Don't mistake her attention for anything permanent." Juno kept his face neutral. "I'm here to do a job, sir." "Good. Then do it quietly and stay out of family business." Lim Sengo was worse. He smiled when he said cruel things, which made them harder to argue with. He cornered Juno near the elevator on his 3rd day. "You know what you are here," Sengo said pleasantly. A gesture. She saved a laborer so people would write nice things about her. "Give it 2 weeks." Juno looked at him. "Then I have 2 weeks." That evening, Era found him in the hallway outside the kitchen. She had her arms around a stuffed rabbit and the serious expression of a child asking a serious question. "Do I have a dad?" she asked. His chest tightened. "Everyone has a dad. But mine isn't here." He crouched down to her level. "Maybe he doesn't know where to find you yet." She considered this with the gravity of someone who had thought about it for a long time. "If he found me," she said, "do you think he'd stay?" Juno looked at her face. His daughter's face. "Yes," he said quietly. "I think he would." Dr. Choi said the word critical, and the room stopped breathing. Era's condition had progressed faster than expected. The genetic disorder was attacking her bone marrow. Without a compatible donor, the window for intervention was closing. Every standard match had come back negative. "Biological family matches are the strongest possibility," Dr. Choi said carefully. Seoyeon sat very still. "Run every test you have." Juno was tested with the rest of the household staff. Protocol, they said, for extended care workers with close child contact. He said nothing. He gave his blood and went back to work. 3 days later, Dr. Choi pulled Seoyeon aside. Juno was in the corridor when she came out. He knew by the way she walked, not the composed stride of Madame O, but something that had lost its structure entirely. She stopped in front of him. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "How long have you known?" He didn't pretend not to understand. 6 years. Her breath caught. "You were here." This whole time you were. I was watching, making sure she was safe. She needed a father, not a shadow. You were with Yu Changsik. His voice stayed even. I couldn't give her what she needed, so I made sure she had what she had. Sioyan's eyes filled, not with sadness, but with something more complicated than sadness. Era is compatible, she said. You can save her. I know, he said. I already said yes. The auction was Sango's idea. A charity gala for the Siha Foundation. A room full of money and old alliances. The kind of event where the family's choice of Sioyan's future husband would be understood without being spoken. Juno was there as staff. He stood near the back and watched Sango work the room like a man who had already won. 3 items went up. A moonlight lace fan at 5 million. A lotus jade pendant at 10. The room barely flinched. Then the third item. A small velvet box. Pigeon's blood ruby, the auctioneer said. Starting bid, $1,000. Quiet laughter moved through the crowd. A token item. A joke. Juno raised his paddle. 1,000. No one countered. No one bothered. Then a voice from the back of the room cut through everything. That ruby belonged to the founding collection of Hain Group. The voice was unhurried and absolute. I gave it to the man I have chosen as my heir. Madame Zhang walked through the parted crowd as if the room had been arranged for her entrance. 70 years old, silver-haired, carrying more real power than everyone in the building combined. She stopped beside Juno. This is Kong Juno, she said. My grandson, and the future of Hain Group. Sango's glass slipped from his hand. The sound of it hitting the marble floor was the only sound left in the room. The Siha Group board met 3 days later. Otaehuan was the last to sit down. He looked across the table at Juno, the laborer, the construction worker, the man he had dismissed in 12 seconds, and said nothing for a long time. Vice President, he finally said. The words sat in his mouth strangely. My daughter's choice. Sioyan met his eyes. Yes. Taehuan exhaled. It wasn't surrender. It was the sound of a man who had run every calculation and arrived somewhere he didn't expect. Don't make me regret this, he said to Juno. I won't, Juno said. That afternoon, Juno sat with Era in the hospital garden while she recovered. She was holding his hand with both of hers, the way children held things they didn't intend to let go of. Dr. Choi said you gave me part of you, she said. A small part. Does that mean you're staying now? He looked at her. At the face that had been his reason for every quiet, patient, invisible year of his life. He felt Sioyan sit down on the other side of the bench. Her shoulder pressed against his. Yes, he said. I'm staying. Era smiled. Okay, Appa. The word landed in his chest like something coming home. If this story moved you, if Juno's silence hit harder than any speech could, drop a fire in the comments. Subscribe so you never miss a Shadow Oath episode. And like this video. It means more than you know.